This video is going to talk about composition, which is really important when you're planning your drawing. And when you're planning your drawing, you can think about your subject, and then you can make thumbnail sketches, which are small like this. And you can sketch out exactly how you want to place your items. Now, this is a spread from a really old book called A Complete Guide to Flower Painting. But they have a lot of things already drawn that I can point out. So the first thing that beginners tend to do is center everything, which is really great if you're trying to get across the idea of stability. Nothing really moves in this, it just stays in the same place. And that is fine for some applications, but don't stop there. This is an asymmetrical composition with some movement to it, and it's far more interesting because it almost draws your eye around and you keep looking. They say the object is too far to one side. Yeah, it could be a little bit. You could maybe move it over. This one, you want to plan your subject before it gets too big and goes off the page. So if you do this, you can just redraw it at a small thumbnail, and it doesn't take that much longer. Here, we have a tangent, an awkward tangent. Now, it's okay to have your stuff run off the page, but you don't want to have it just touch the page right at the edge. That's awkward, or even just go off a little bit. You have to really commit yourself and make it look like you meant it that way and not make a mistake. So I drew some different ways of composing a drawing to make it interesting, and I did it in thumbnails, and this probably took me a half hour. I used photos to draw from, just so I can give you the quick idea, because it took me actually years to figure this out. And if I can share with you and you can save some time, that would be the very best thing. So I'd like you to look at this one. Okay, it's centered, it's boring. Your eye goes right here and then it stops. Now with composition, you have the chance to move the viewer's eye around the way you want it to go. So as opposed to this one, which we will just say no to, you can use an S curve. Our eye loves to follow lines. It makes it so much more interesting. The rule of thirds, you divide your paper into thirds horizontally and vertically, and where these 4 points are is a good place to put your emphasis. So there's a tree right here that covers 2 of those points, and you don't have to be just exactly perfect. I put my sun just a little bit in that area, and also my horizon line is on that bottom third. The main rule of composition is don't divide it in half. Don't ever divide anything in half. That's boring. Make it a little bit more like 3/8, 5/8, just a little bit off of half, and you'll be good. Positive and negative space is a great way to draw somebody's attention. My eye just follows those white lines, and that black really shines it up. So just remember, also contrast is a good way to draw somebody's attention. Overlapping shapes is a great way to grab attention. And then you can also use tone. You can get a feeling of shallow depth with overlapping shapes. And in modern art, shallow depth was a new concept. In Renaissance art, they discovered perspective, and you could get way into the distance, something like this. That was only discovered 500 years ago. But in modern art, flatter depictions is more common. Another is radial symmetry. Something that comes out from the center is somehow very visually pleasing, and it has balance. Here's another example of the rule of thirds. Now, intersecting diagonals is really how to grab somebody's attention. We read from the upper right to the lower left, and watch, if I draw a line through his hand and down to his knee, there is that line. And so this composition looks very comfortable to us because that's how we read. And then now look at this line from his knee through his guitar. It's an intersecting diagonal, and this feels edgy. Or uncomfortable. So if you're trying to create a feeling of right on the edge or discomfort or danger, this is the diagonal you want to go with. For some reason, an odd number of objects works way better than an even number. It's just artier and I can't explain it, but trust me. Our eyes love to follow curves, and if I was going to improve this, I'd probably make some of these a different width. Well, that didn't really improve it, and sometimes you make a mistake, and then, you know, I'm just doing my thumbnail, so I can be free and I can make mistakes, and it's no big deal if I ruined that one drawing. This is a triangle composition. Do you recognize her? It's the Mona Lisa. And if you really look at it, she has two different backgrounds on either side of her. And once again, you want an odd number of things. Right here I have an even number. Watch what happens when I put a little something hanging on the wall up here. It just brings the whole thing together. And plus you also have a circular composition that keeps your eye moving around. I hope this helps you with your composition ideas. And I'd love to see your work.